I mean, at the end of the day, the reason why we were not very good together because we wasn't on the damn floor together. That is the number one thing. I don't know, you guys know how many games did we play together? Played 21 games, that's a fourth of a season.
I had a feeling this was going to happen. You see, the Los Angeles Lakers had this wonderful pipe dream about how they were going to resolve the Russell Westbrook situation. And I've said over and over and over again, the definition of insanity is repeating your same exact mistake and expecting a different result. And for the most part, I feel like that's what the Los Angeles Lakers are doing here. So before we get to the content, we are still running an NBA 2K23 giveaway or a VC giveaway, whichever you prefer, on my Twitter account. We're also going to be announcing winners on my Instagram story as well. Now that we get all that out of the way, cue the intro. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? Guys, last summer the Los Angeles Lakers decided, hey, you know what's a good idea? Let's trade all of our depth and get Russell Westbrook in return, despite him being on a 2-year super maximum contract. As a matter of fact, I heard being top heavy in the NBA would result in a greater likelihood of success than trying to be as deep as you possibly can. It's not like that's how the Golden State Warriors won a championship this past year, but that aside, hell, you can't even say that it was the Los Angeles Lakers decision. It was LeBron James and Anthony Davis's decision, primarily LeBron James's decision, thinking that if he got a former MVP on the roster, it would take significant amounts of pressure off of himself and Anthony Davis. LeBron James also failed to see one critical thing, which was shocking to all of us considering how he's credited for having one of the greatest basketball IQs of all time. When you add Russell Westbrook to the court and he's sharing the court with the likes of Anthony Davis and LeBron James and 2 other shooters, whoever the hell they may be, the issue is that he is going to shrink the court so much because nobody respects his jump shot. And ultimately, that resulted in the Lakers' downfall. And throughout the season, it seemed like the Lakers were trying to come up with as many solutions to this problem as humanly possible. At a specific point, you had Frank Vogel bringing Russell Westbrook off the bench in the 4th quarter, something that was considered to be very controversial at the time. And after a season of obviously failing to meet expectations, during the offseason, there was one question: what is Russell Westbrook's future going to be? And for the most part, a lot of Laker fans refuse to actually acknowledge this, and maybe you could just call me a pessimistic Laker fan, but I like to call myself a realistic Laker fan. They're literally running it back with the same exact roster building philosophy, scapegoating their former head coach in Frank Vogel, thinking that bringing in a rookie head coach, which shout out to Darvin Ham, he actually worked for the Lakers a couple years back as an assistant during the Kobe Bryant era about 10 years ago. And this is nothing against Darvin Ham, but I don't think the Lakers solved the problem. And I think their offseason is even more indicative of that. Pretty much the Lakers probably approached LeBron James and said, hey buddy, you have 2 choices. We could either trade Russell Westbrook for players like Bojan Bogdanovic or Mike Conley, which Bogdanovic got traded to the Detroit Pistons earlier, but we could either trade Russell Westbrook for a bunch of players that would essentially be your teammates for the rest of your career, depending on how long your career is going to be, or at least until your contract is up with the Lakers, or we could run it back with Russell Westbrook this season, and hopefully upon his contract expiring, we will be in the market to get ourselves a marquee free agent next offseason. And to be honest, I think the guy that they're targeting next offseason, who is set to be a free agent next offseason, is none other than Kyrie Irving. They'll have enough cap space to acquire Kyrie Irving, and they don't need to give up their 2027 or 2029 first round pick, which is likely to be a top 5 or top 10 pick if you ask me, because we're going to be horrible by the time LeBron James leaves us. So ultimately, the Lakers decided to hold on to Russell Westbrook with hopes that, hey, maybe he is going to change his philosophy. Maybe he'll become a bit more open-minded to coming off the bench. So for all you know, all Russell Westbrook needs to revitalize his career is to come off of the bench, assuming that he gets beat out by Dennis Schroeder or Kendrick Nunn or Patrick Beverley, which I'm assuming Patrick Beverley is going to be the starting shooting guard at the very least. So what are the odds that Russell Westbrook would be willing to do such a thing? I mean, we saw interviews from him last year.
And I told him I wish I could help him. unfortunately, I wasn't in the game to be able to help them. And that's why I came here to be able to help them out. So unfortunately, haven't been able to do that, for them, but that's not my call.
Yet you have Darvin Ham saying this about Russell Westbrook in his introductory press conference.
Sacrifice. That was the biggest word. It was sacrifice. We're going to sacrifice whatever we got to do. And it's not just Russ. There's going to be sacrifices that LeBron has to make, that AD has to make, on down the line through the rest of our roster. Again, we have to start on the defensive end. And in terms of what his role is going to be, I'm going to expect him to be the same tenacious, high-energy player that he's been on his entire career.
In the same exact interview, you could see Russell Westbrook's facial expression. It doesn't look like this is an individual that's ready to sacrifice and come off of the bench, despite him being at the stage of his career to do so, despite it making a lot of sense for him to do so. And this is going to be the result of a lot of drama this season, and we're already beginning to see some of this drama. Now, I want to give Russ credit where credit's due, because we've been seeing a clip go absolutely viral on Twitter of Russell Westbrook actually working on his jump shot via Chris Brickley. And to be honest, man, again, I don't mean to sound like the most pessimistic Laker fan on earth, but I feel like I've seen so many workout videos like this. I mean, literally the offseason that we acquired Russell Westbrook, we saw footage like this with him and LeBron James practicing together for the upcoming season. Yeah, if Russell Westbrook is able to completely remake his jump shot at the age of 33, which he's going on 34. He's going to turn 34 in about 2 months from now, which I personally think would be a huge long shot at this point. But I mean, let's just say we're being optimistic here. If he's able to get his 3-point percentage from like the 29.8 or the 30% to around 34%, then yeah, I think he could really help the Lakers as a starter. But then you have this mentality where he believes the definition of success is trying to get as many triple doubles as humanly possible. And I don't know if you can necessarily turn that off. I don't know if you could ask a man to literally completely change the way he plays basketball and change his game in addition to his jump shot in order to buy in and try to win a championship when he's on an expiring contract. I mean, this is the latter stage of Russ's career, so I guess the question that you need to ask yourself in regards to Russell Westbrook, and I don't think a lot of people really take this seriously, is how content would Russell Westbrook be if this is it for his career? What if this is his final season playing basketball? What if other teams look at him and say, hey, we don't necessarily like the fact that you're a ball dominant guard that's out there trying to stuff the stat sheet as much as possible and isn't necessarily trying to win a championship? What if there are teams that are willing to bring him on, but as a sixth man off of the bench and paying him somewhere in the ballpark of like 10 to 15 million a year, which for Russell Westbrook is a huge pay cut from the 47 million he's getting this year? Do you think Russell Westbrook at that point would swallow his pride and decide to come off of the bench and earn significantly less than what he was before? Or do you think the man that has consistently said that it's just a game of basketball would be more happy taking his $200 million into retirement and focusing on a fashion career? That's up for you to decide, because the latest thing we're hearing from Russell Westbrook's camp, I will admit, is very cryptic, but at the same time, it'll raise some eyebrows. Bear in mind, this is a man that is potentially being asked to come off of the bench. And this is what his wife posted onto her story, which, come on, man, what do you think she's talking about here? A bottle of water can be $1 at a supermarket, $3 at the gym, $5 at the movies, and $6 on a plane, and $10 on vacation. The same bottle of water. The only thing that changed its value was the place. So the next time you feel your worth is nothing, maybe you're at the wrong place. Gee, do you think Nina Westbrook just decided to tweet this out? Just say, hey,
buddy, followers that are watching my story, maybe right now you're not in the right place at life.
Or do you think this is more likely her hinting that her husband isn't in the right place right now? There's been instances where, yeah, I may have reached in regards to covering some news. Primarily, you guys really let me have it for my Steph Curry and Kevin Durant video. So in that instance, yes, we could call that a reach for those of you guys that called me out on it. Do you think this is a reach? Do you think she's alluding to Russell Westbrook being at the wrong place? Because bear in mind, this is the first time in Russell Westbrook's career since getting getting traded from the OKC Thunder, that he's going to be on a team for a second season potentially, assuming that the Lakers don't trade him going into training camp. So at a specific point, when does Russell Westbrook show up to the right place? When is he at the right place? I mean, the Houston Rockets, I could understand that situation. James Harden was on his way out. Russell Westbrook didn't like how James Harden prepared for games, didn't think he was taking it serious enough. We made a video on that like 2 years ago. So I could understand him wanting out from there. The Washington Wizards were actually trending upward before they decided to trade Russell Westbrook to the Los Angeles Lakers, because while what the Lakers were offering them was significantly more valuable to a rebuilding team. This tweet comes at a very unique time because originally Darvin Ham and Rob Pelinka were set to have a press conference with the media, but they canceled it mainly because there was speculation for a trade. Well, according to Zach Harper, there's some speculation in regards to Russell Westbrook's role. So this is coming to us from Zach Harper of The Athletic, saying Los Angeles Lakers offseason recap, grades, preseason tier changes, end of 2022 to 2023 goal. And even then, when Jovan Buha is asked, is there any chance that we get a Patrick Beverley, Russell Westbrook backcourt this season? He responds by saying, I think Westbrook remains a Laker at least to start training camp. Los Angeles hasn't found a potential trade that it's liked and wants to see what the roster looks like before making a decision on Westbrook's future. That could easily change in the next couple of weeks. Assuming Westbrook remains in Los Angeles, I think there's a legitimate chance he's eventually deployed as the team's sixth man, depending on how his fit with James develops. So LeBron James essentially made his choice. He opted to keep Russell Westbrook because there's no player that you could trade for right now that will give the Los Angeles Lakers instant salary cap relief while also improving the roster, while also making sure that they have cap space for next season. So I think this is the only choice you have. But if you're a Laker fan, I am warning you, this is exactly what they did last offseason. They had Russell Westbrook, Anthony Davis, and LeBron James. Yeah, they did have some young players in Talon Horton Tucker that they decided to trade away. Yeah, Kendrick Nunn, their mid-level exception signee, suffered a mysterious injury that kept him out all year long. But if you are going into this season expecting the strategy of having a big three of Russell Westbrook, Anthony Davis, and LeBron James, while also filling out the rest of the roster with players that are essentially on minimum contracts, wouldn't that be the definition of insanity? Isn't that what we did last year? I'd like to hear what you have to say. Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike, and I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.